Fuck. This team sucks. This team. Hey, what's up, guys? Toogie here, back again with another episode of my San Jose Sharks franchise mode series right here on NHL 20. And today is going to be an interesting episode, one way or another. I cannot claim to have a set plan, unfortunately. And no, that's not a hint towards the Hut series. I couldn't be bothered to play Hut this year. But yeah, this team blew it in the first round again. 4 years in a row of blowing it in the first round. We have tried so many different things to drag this team over the line. And now I know, right? Here, we could go position by position here. Goaltending. We got rid of Martin Jones after giving him a chance. We bring in Binnington and Anderson. That failed. We bring in Howard and Smith. That failed, unsurprisingly. But we tried so many different goaltenders. Nothing worked. Defensively, yes, we went with a younger core this year and went off of chemistry boost, but you look in the past where we still had Vlasic, we brought in Ekholm, nothing worked. And then, of course, forward-wise, we tried a lot. I mean, obviously trying to get Thornton and Marlowe and Pavelski, cups while this team was still overly competitive. That was a part of the plan originally. That hasn't worked. We bring in Bjorkstrand and Eberle on two outrageously beneficial deals. That hasn't worked. And it's led to this point now where we still find ourselves in this brutal limbo of, as it stands, we're too good to fail, but are we good enough to win? And I guess a lot of people will just chalk it up to the way this game is. And I kind of voiced some frustrations with NHL 20 in the last Draft to Glory episode, and on Twitter recently, where, I think some trade values and just the trading system in general needs to be tweaked a little bit. I mean, again, if you watch me on Twitch, and I know I stream at odd hours that some people can't always watch, although the VODs are always up, by the way, but if you watch me on Twitch, you'll know that's like, okay, I'm feeling kind of burned out, but let me try one more franchise mode. And then Cody Ceci was dealt for a first-round pick, and all of my interest just died. Whether it's the re-signing and the way that works, and you have some people who are asking for outrageous contracts. You have players, even if your team's successful, where you just, the whole list of teams or players that needs to be re-signed on the team, everyone's rejecting. And then there's the sim issues where, I'm cool with maybe 70% of the time. Let's go with 70. 70% of the time, the better team wins. There should be upsets in the playoffs. But, and it's not just me for this particular series where it's like, okay, we've been shafted, but it is kind of absurd to think that this team, in all of its different iterations thus far in this series, hasn't even made it out of the first round. It seems like upsets are just way too common, which, again, I'm perfectly fine with upsets. It happens every single year. But there are certain occasions where it's like, okay, that might be slight overkill that a 60-win team got swept in the first round. Not that we won 60 games this year. That's just an example that people have given to me. Regardless, we're going to do what we can today to get this team into a better position, either as in, being ready to win or in a better position for the future. Time will tell. This is the Vegas team that ended up winning the Stanley Cup. Just to get you a look at some of the overall: Stone, Marchessault, William Karlsson, Peyton Krebs up to an 88, Riley Smith, Cody Glass, Alex Tuck, Max Pacioretty, who beat Montreal in the final, Alex Chiasson, Jake Leschyshyn, Trevor Moore rounds out the forward core. And for the defense, Shea Theodore, Eric Gustafsson, Jeff Petrie, Nate Schmidt, Nick Hague, and Matthias Ekholm, the previously mentioned Matthias Ekholm. Marc-Andre Fleury gets the job done. Perhaps, again, another topic of conversation is that, low to, the early 80s, 79 to 82 overall goalies always seem to outperform 86s and up. I still think NHL 20 franchise mode that's actually back-to-back cups for Vegas. I still think NHL 20 franchise mode is one of the best franchise modes out there for consoles. Obviously, you can debate Football Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, stuff like that. Although, there needs to be some tweaks. I don't think this mode's as good as it could be, just in terms of some of the things that happen And then Erik Karlsson wins his 3rd straight Norris, and we haven't gotten out of the fucking playoffs. Or out of the first round of the playoffs. Oh, we've gotten out of the playoffs, let me tell you. Dylan Guenther wins the Calder. But it would be nice to see some tweaks to this. Because I still think this mode over Madden, where they barely... I can't say they barely made any changes, but really their only changes were the X Factors and stuff like that, superstar abilities. MLB did nothing. NBA, I just don't have interest in. Just my interest in the sport in general is down. But I can admit, that my league is pretty solid. And then obviously FIFA's a disaster. So, I don't know. I still like the foundation in which franchise mode's built upon. But really, it would be nice to see some things be tweaked. Some different quality of life things. But it's tough. Because, I don't know. That was one of the things I talked about yesterday in that Draft to Glory episode, is that, the importance to, franchise mode to EA and all sports game developers. Where is that level right now where it's like, okay, NHL, hey, let's add in rivals. We can't even get Quinn Hughes with a goddamn picture yet. So, what are you going to do? Anyway, let's put that conversation behind us. We will focus on the draft. Although, before we do that, let's take a look at the progress reports. I want to see what we're looking like. So, goaltending-wise, Gustafsson's an 82. The only reason, again, this was the plan, was for him to be the guy this year. The only reason I'm tempted to not blow this team up is because he's good to go. From an overall standpoint, time will tell if he's actually the guy for us. Defensively, unfortunately, Merkley, Sandin, Bouchard, they've all capped out. And that's another issue I actually have with this mode, is medium top 4 defensemen just never seem to pan out, and I don't know why. It's an issue. In every franchise mode I've done for nearly 2 months now, medium top 4 just barely, at the very least, rarely seems to result in a player actually becoming a legitimate top 4 guy. Ryan Merkley is there, but he's on the low end of that at an 82 overall. And forward-wise, what do we have? No real improvements from a natural perspective. A lot of statistical improvements. Pavelski down to a 79. I'm surprised that didn't show up as a negative. So, first and foremost, we will have to see what happens with the lottery results before we get into this draft. The Buffalo Sabres move up from 7-1 to take the number 1 pick away from the Nashville Predators. And draft class-wise, what are we looking at? Wow. All right, well, there you go, Buffalo. Jesus. You have 2 top-notch defensive defensemen at the top of the board and 2 two-way forwards. So there's a clear number 1 in Holden Donnelly. Yeah, he's 17 as well. He's going to be an absolute monster. Absolute monster. Retired players, what do we got? We have Patrick Marleau, and we have Joe Pavelski. That window is officially closed. Thornton, Burns, Marleau, Pavelski, they're all gone. Jason Spetz is gone, Corey Perry, Paul Stastny, and amongst the defense, Zdeno Chara retired as a member of the Avs organization. And then goalie-wise, Ryan Miller, Yaroslav Halak, Corey Schneider. How many of them will become... Okay, at least someone's becoming a scout or a coach when it takes this long to load and you get the wheel in the corner. Joe Pavelski also becomes a coach. So Thornton, Burns, Pavelski, all likely to be a part of our coaching staff. Patrick Marleau just says, leave me the fuck alone. As Yaroslav Halak becomes a scout. So we'll see what happens there. The only reason why I'm not tempted to do interviews is because I don't know if we're going to have draft picks or not. I am at least going to see what a potential return would be for a lot of the players that we could potentially deal. Yeah, you know what? I don't even care. I don't even care. It looks like it's going to be a decent draft, but I just want to get to the draft, and we're going to take a look at what we could potentially get in return for some of our players. Again, I don't have it set in stone as far as who I want to get rid of, if I even want to get rid of anybody, but we are going to explore these options. So taking a look here, Iman's deal is not up. We can Potentially look to move on from him. I don't think he's going to get that much better. There are no trades. Can we get anything from Mike Smith's rights? Looks like we can. A 5th round pick and a low-end prospect. A 5th and a 7th. We're not going to get a good prospect, but a 5th and a 6th from Florida. By the way, if you can hear the wind outside, sorry about that, but I can't control the wind. We could get the rights to Evgeny Malkin. Let's just take the 5th and a 6th from Winnipeg. That's fine to the most recent team. And can we get anything for Jimmy Howard's rights? The answer is yes. And I don't want to take another 5th and a 6th from Winnipeg. Let's just take it from Vegas. So that experiment is over. Tavares is looking all right. Gagliardi could easily be moved. I wonder if there's any interest. There is. 2 seconds on Alexiak. Sorella a 2nd and a 3rd. The rights to Jonathan Taves. Matt Grzelcyk a 2nd and a 3rd. Atkinson, Devon Taves and a 2nd. Aston Reese. Kopitar, who has a year left on his deal. Goodbranson in 2 seconds. Zuccarello. Ryan Johansson. Brendan Dillon. Bushnevich and Shea. Jared McCann. And, I mean, a 1st from the Leafs, but I'm not too sold on that. How good, go figure, the Leafs ended up with a guy named Fratton. How good is this Fratton guy? Let's take a look. 66 at 19. That's not too bad. He's a former 2nd round pick. Now, obviously, dealing Gagliardi isn't totally necessary. I do have my doubts whether or not he's going to develop. But if I wanted to get more picks into the system and pick up a prospect, I could make that happen. Because, again, goaltending-wise, we're obviously looking okay, at least in theory. We also got Alexiev back, which is a pretty big coup. I just don't know if he's going to go up like 20 points in the next 3 years. That's a pretty steep climb. Especially because his value is lower than Alexiev's. It makes me think he's going to be behind that pace. It might seem kind of crazy. I'm going to see, though, if I can work this deal out. I don't think the Leafs will be willing to trade their 1st round pick, obviously. But if I can get them to give up their 2nd round pick next year, I'll do that. So Fratton and 2 seconds. And you know what? The AI occasionally does like to rob you on these type of deals. That is rejected. What about now? Still rejected. Okay. So, yeah, they were offering me the best that they could. I'm going to take this. I'm going to move on from this goalie just to get something for him. We're going to get another forward prospect into the system and some extra draft picks. So Willie Fratton, welcome aboard as we get another deal done, and it might not be our last, but it probably will be our last involving goaltenders unless there is something better to do, but really there isn't. I mean, those 5 goalies, if we have to sign Tavares, that's fine by me. Eliasson might get a chance at being the NHL backup this season. So that's looking fine. Defensively, what can I get for Erik Karlsson? Oh, by the way, Merkley's high top 4, and we haven't seen much movement from him. I want to see what I could potentially get from Erik Karlsson. He's 33. He's got 5 years left at $11.5 million. He has won 3 straight Norris trophies, and unfortunately, there is no trade of equal value. I am afraid I'm going to lose power. This should be fun if I do. Merkley, Sandin, Bouchard. I'm almost tempted to move these guys just to make the most of their value because it's going to drop and they're not going to get better. Like, they're pretty much capping out around here. It would suck to get rid of them. And I mean, right now with the current coach and everything, yeah, we can get them to a better level. But I am very tempted. Would I even get anything from Merkley? I would. What would I get? Tennell and 2 firsts. The rights to Taves in 3 seconds. 2 firsts and a starter goaltender. Velatenko and a 1st, 10th overall in this draft. Damn. Get the 10th overall pick in this draft. Velatenko a 1st and a 2nd. Jean-Luc Foudy and 2 firsts. Foudy a 1st and a 2nd. Zuccarello, Eric Stahl. I know the idea of trading Ryan Merkley isn't great, but again, the one thing I'm wondering about is just that overall. He's also an RFA. So, I mean, there's an Escoivu in Ottawa. That's awesome. I don't feel great about exploring this trade, right? But he's not going to get any better from an overall standpoint, which really sucks. You get Peter Reynolds or Dawson Mercer and 2 firsts. That's nuts. Alright, I want to look, I think, at Valentenko. Let's look at Valentenko here. Again, it's just my one issue is, yeah, Ryan Merkley's solid, but overall-wise, he's how much... At 22, he's a high 4. We didn't see really any development from him this season. What are the odds that he gets better? You know? Valentenko's a 66 at 19 years old, medium top 6, but we would get the 10th overall pick in what looks like a pretty strong draft as Isbister goes off the board. Let's go back to find trade really quickly. Again, no guarantee is I deal him, but I at least want to see. Why not? We're exploring all options here, even if that means, in theory, getting rid of someone who I'd like to be a part of my core. Tennell in Carolina. What are you worth, good sir? You are 65 at 19 years old. That's not necessarily ideal either, I gotta be honest. That's kind of rough. Let's see what else we have here. Again, I'm going to look to see what we can get for Sandin and Bouchard as well. We might as well make the most of that trade value if these guys are stuck at the overalls that they're currently at. Why are they stuck? Who the hell knows? But they are. Sillinger and Heinonen on the Canucks. Let's take a look at Heinonen first. How good are you, sir? 78 at 20 years old. Jesus Christ. 6'5" center. All right. I think we may have an answer here because he looks ridiculous. Sillinger's a 77 at 20 years old as well. So either guy is an option. Sillinger scored 61 frickin' goals in 66 games. Heinonen was a steal and a half of a second-round pick for the Canucks. That's crazy. Sillinger or Tony Heinonen, either is a decent option. I am going to redo the trade offer, or the trade finder. Ryan Merkley might be on the move, man. He might be. That trade value is, I think, too good to pass up for someone who's capping out at a low 80. So for Sillinger, it's the 13th overall pick and Sillinger. Heinonen, a first next year, and the 44th this year. Alright, so basically we have the choice of, do we want to get the 13th overall pick or a first next year and a second this year? That 13th overall pick's looking pretty damn good. I kind of want Heinonen at center, though. Let me edit this. Can I get Ville Heinonen? I think it was Ville. With this pick, or is that just for Cole Sillinger? Because Heinonen was listed above him. Can we get Heinonen and the 13th overall pick for Ryan Merkley? Which I don't want to get rid of him, but it's not working. Can I also get a third next year? What do you think? There we go. Ryan Merkley's been dealt to the Vancouver Canucks in a move that I very well may regret. Time will tell whether or not that overall goes up. If it does, then yeah, I regret that move. But we just picked up the 13th overall pick in the draft and picked up what could be a decent forward if he's one of the rare medium potentials to actually go up. So time will tell. But that certainly opens the door for us to move on from other veteran forwards. This episode's likely to just be the draft and wheeling and dealing. Rasmus Sandin, what can I get for you? What can I get for you? A second, a third, a second in Gudis, a first next year, and a third this year. I mean, an extra first-round pick for someone who's really not moving the needle wouldn't be that bad. There's also Alexiev, Pedersen. How good is Alexiev? I'm guessing that's Alex Alexiev? If it is, he's probably in the same boat. Yeah, see, he's even worse. He just hasn't developed. It's ridiculous. There are some prospects where it does not happen, which is fine, I guess, but damn. Even Peterson here is not that good. So I think we will opt out of making a deal with Carolina. But I'm still not against shopping Rasmus Sandin. It's just not looking like it's going to happen. And then I don't know if I'm going to be able to move Erik Karlsson. Obviously, if I try to, I'm going to have to do that on my own. We could get the 24th overall pick for Sandin from Colorado. Valentenko in Dallas. Second and a third, a first-round pick next year from the Panthers. They're looking to move a bunch of players. I mean, that first-round pick, 23rd overall, sounds pretty good to me. Gotta admit, that's looking pretty good. There's a lot of offers, though. God damn. Again, like, I could see how good Kaminsky is, or Kaminsky, I guess it was, but... And noted defenseman Nick Robertson. All right. Cole Sillinger's there, a first, a third, and Vickers. Colorado offered the 24th overall pick in this draft for Rasmus Sandin. I'm going to take that. I didn't think I would, but I'm going to take that. Again, I'm just worried about their overall stalling out. It could be a massive issue. Second and a third. What can we get for Bouchard? Same thing. Worried about him too. It's not just a morale thing as to why their overalls are that low. We could get another first-round pick from the Avs. I think more than anything, that's what I'm interested in, is picking up draft picks, because this draft did look decent. Now, of course, that would be next year's draft that we'd pick up that pick with, but it could still work out. The Leafs also offering another pick. All right, so we're not going to get a first-round pick this year. Out of all of these deals, from the looks of it, we're not. 38th overall pick in Radko Gudas. I don't really want to take on any of these players because none of them are looking that good. Devon Bouchard's also being dealt to Colorado. A first next year and a fourth. So, out of all the things that people identified as an issue, our defense wasn't one of them. But again, I feel confident in my assessment there that overall-wise, they have stalled out a bit. And I would prefer to try and get players where they're not solely dependent on needing the chemistry boost to be even more useful. Again, with the trade value they have, they were far too valuable to hold on to when the reality of what they are happens to be what it is. If that makes sense. So, of course, all of these guys were just depth signings for the year. Although I did sign Nick DeSimone long-term just to be a AHL stalwart, which is fine. We're not going to be able to get anything for him. Same with Hayden Fleury. Can we get anything for you? We cannot. Can I get anything for one Mario Ferraro or Jeremy Waugh? We can get something for Waugh. 2 fourths and a nothing prospect. 2 fourths, a third, and Victor Olofsson, who I don't know how well he's panned out in this series. 2 fourths, a third, and a sixth. Third and a fourth seems to be a common offer. Third, fifth, and Berdeen. So yeah, we're looking at a third and a fourth, which we will take from the Florida Panthers. Jeremy Waugh is being dealt to Florida. And what could be just the beginning. Can I get anything from Mario Ferraro? No, I can't. So for the moment, Erik Karlsson stays. I don't know how long that will be the reality. Oh, God. Can I deal Zach Hyman? I can. Third and a fourth. Second and a fourth. Second and a fourth. Third and a fourth. Second and a fourth seems to be what we're targeting here. I like that Ottawa deal quite a bit. Second and a third. Granted, next year, but still a second and a third from the Philadelphia Flyers for Zach Hyman. He's gone. Blichfeld. Blichfeld's an interesting one. Regular season, he was okay in a fourth-line setting. In the playoffs, he didn't do much for us. I can't imagine I'd get a good return for him. Fourth, third and a fourth. I wouldn't be against giving him a chance on a higher line this year and just seeing what happens. Or I take that third and fourth next year from Edmonton. That's a tough one. He's 24. He's probably not going to get that much better. He is signed to a good deal, though. Like I said, on the fourth line, he did fine in the regular season. I can't really blame him for falling apart in the playoffs. Everybody on this team has fallen apart in the playoffs over the past few years. But considering he had 19 points in a full season with only 7.5 minutes of ice time per game, he might deserve a second chance here to turn it around. Can I get something for Jordan Wheel? I know we're low on time. Fourths, third, and a something from Edmonton, who take Leahy with their pick. What else do we have? This is death by 1,000 cuts to be blowing up this team, but it's the move we have to make. So 2 fourths is the going rate, and that is what we'll do. Jordan Wheel off to Calgary, who I initially signed to be, again, an AHL force for us, but I'm cool with letting him go. We can't get anything for Radil. What about Johnny Brodzinski? No. So then it's the question of Eberle and Bjorkstrand. Eberle, 2 years. Again, he's on a great deal. He's on a great deal. He had 39 goals this season, 75 points. It's been great for us over the past season and a third or fourth or so, but I don't know if I'm getting rid of him or not. I don't know if I'm getting rid of Bjorkstrand either. Kane, Meyer. Can I get anything for one Arturi Lehkonen? Hopefully just the best draft pick offer, which is 2 fourths from the Detroit Red Wings. Lehkonen, see you later. Leonard can stay. Chekhovich can stay. Alex True might get another opportunity at the NHL level. I'm not entirely sure. We might need him depending on how many trades end up happening here. Sorensen, probably not going to be able to get anything for. Can I get anything for Kotkov? I cannot. Just fine. He's just AHL filler. And then centers, Hurdle, Couture, Perfetti, who's really going to step up this season. Ellison's there. Heinenen's there. Gregor was fine. Can I get anything for Dylan Sakura? I can't. So that leaves us with the big guns of the team and what we're doing with them from there. At least up front. I mean, defensively, I've completely torn it down. Aside from Erik Karlsson. What I want to do, though, right now is get rid of players like this who I just have no use for whatsoever. So anybody that's interested, Arizona, just give me a fourth. I don't care. I don't even want to see these players. Just here, try a third. Why not? That's rejected. Literally a fourth, a fifth. I'll take a sixth. Just free money for you. There you go. Nope, maybe not. I'll take a sixth. Don't care. Let's get these guys off of my team. There we go. 5th round pick works. John Leonard's upset. I don't really care. We will sim this pick for the Kings more than likely, although I do want to take a look at what the draft pick situation is now, because we've done a lot and we're not done yet. We have 3 first-round picks, 13th, 24th, and 26th. 3 third-rounders in the stockpile as well. In terms of trading, you know what? Let's sim that Kings pick really quickly so it doesn't interrupt us. They took Lemieux. So let me check something really quickly. Are all the top draft picks gone? Yeah, they are. Just wanted to double check that none of the consensus top 5 were remaining. There's someone like Jay Bathgate, who's okay. Nylander's pretty damn good for a medium top 4. And then Matthew Benin, I guess it'd be Benin, is looking pretty good. Mitch Chelios, oh yeah, there's still some good talent to be had here. Definitely. There are some good players that we can pick up in this draft. So, with that said, I don't feel the pressure to trade up. Let's trade away. So out of our forwards, pretty obvious who the core of the team is. We're debating Meyer, Hurdle, Couture, Bjorkstrand, Eberle, and Kane. Gambrell stays. Perfetti, Gregor, Chekhovich, these guys all stay. It's just what about the big dogs? Evander Kane. You are 31 years old. You refuse to fight Zdeno Chara, which I don't blame you. That contract is typically rough. But not in this situation. You are a 50 to 60 point guy. Good for 30 goals most seasons. You kept us afloat in the playoffs. But depending on what the return could be, there's no point in really having you here, more than likely. 2 first-round picks in Sillinger. I like Evander Kane, man, but 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds in Sarah Noel, or Cole Sillinger in Vancouver's next first. That's a tough one to turn down because we know Cole Sillinger's good. And we get a first-round pick out of it. I like Evander Kane, but now he's on the wrong side of 30 for the NHL. And we can get a really good prospect back and a first-round pick next year. That's too good to turn down. Evander Kane's been dealt to the Vancouver Canucks. Jordan Eberle. Your value is probably never going to be higher, and it's mainly because of the contract and the cap retention that we got you on. 2 firsts in Jamison Reese. Tennell, a first and a second. Pedersen, a first and a second. 2 firsts from the Florida Panthers. A first in Ludwig, first, second in Middlestat. First, a third in Ludwig, Koivu, and Delandria. I don't mind that option from the Florida Panthers. 2 first-round picks. It's pretty damn good. The Carolina Hurricanes offering the same thing. They're about equal in terms of where they are. I know the Devils are about to make their pick. Are they going to make it before I can do anything is the question. Doesn't look like it. All I need to do is to be able to see who they have on the trade block. Ludwig, Koivu, Middlestat, they're all solid. Delandria just never developed. So, I mean, a 75 at 20 is okay. It's a step below who we acquired from the Canucks, though. So let's see what happens here with this pick from the Devils as they go for Bathgate. And I think I might be taking that deal from the Panthers. I think Jordan Eberle is also going to be dealt to the Florida Panthers. I hate that I have to do this to this team, but they couldn't get it done. I mean, we might as well take the deal from Carolina instead. I'm going to look to take Jamison Reese out of the equation and probably add in another draft pick because, again, low top 6 is a terrible potential this year. So can I get an extra second? Okay, they had to tack him on for the sake of having too many skaters. His value isn't that good. Do you have an expiring player that you'd like to get rid of? David Cotton is exactly the type of player that I'd like to pick up and just immediately let go of. Can I also get a 3rd-round pick from the Oilers? Yes, I can. We get a king's ransom for Jordan Eberle as we deal him to the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, solid players that we're moving. A solid team. But we've been saying that for 4 years and we haven't gotten out of the first round. When is enough enough? Bjorkstrand, Couture, Hurdle, and Meyer, whose value is low because he's a pending UFA. I love Oliver Bjorkstrand. He's been such a surprising pickup when we got him for dirt cheap on the free agent list, and you see what he's done for us over the past 2 years. He has been phenomenal. But depending on what the return can be, we might as well check it out. 2 first-round picks in Sarah Noel from Florida is already too good to pass up on. Yeah, let's see how good Sarah Noel is, but 2 first-round picks for Oliver Bjorkstrand, I have to do that. I have to. That's too good of a trade. Noel's a 75 at 22. Ugh, but I should be able to take him out and potentially add in somebody else. Like Foodie, who's looking a tiny bit better. Or Khan, who's a shot in the dark. If I can add in Foodie instead, I'll do that. They would have more than 45 skaters. Oh, I guess Foodie's on the exempt. So let me see again if they have somebody on the expiration list that we could make this work with. Yannick Weber. Will that go through? Not quite. I will add in a pick to make this happen. So we are getting Jean-Luc Foudy and 2 first-round picks. This will be our 5th first-round pick in this draft if this goes through. And there it is. Jean-Luc Foudy, welcome aboard. I hate to see Oliver Bjorkstrand go. He's out. And that brings us to the final 3. Meier, Hertl, and Captain Couture. And I think after just, what we witnessed with Thornton and everybody else, I think Sharks fans at this point would just be desperate to say, yes, for the love of God, trade Logan Couture somewhere. We don't want to see another solid NHL player waste their entire career here. Sorry, Sharks, sorry, Sharks fans, if that's a little bit rough, but you can't exactly tell me that's an inaccurate statement. So what can we get for Logan Couture if he were to be dealt? That is the question. There are no offers with an open block. What about for Tomas Hertl? Because Timo Meier's going nowhere for now. We could keep Meier, Hertl, and Couture as the core. Hertl has been solid, 70-point guy, 80-point guy in Season 1. He's on a pretty damn good contract for someone who puts up that point total. And the only offer would be Alex Pietrangelo, which, no. So, for now, Meier, Hertl, and Couture, Erik Karlsson as well, all stay. The rest of the team has been gutted. But we have a stockpile to work with. And we are going to do just that. So, let's take a look at the draft class and see what we have to work with. As again, Johan Nylander looks pretty damn strong. Matthew Benin looking pretty good. Chelios, Yekimovs. Strimbu's looking solid. Fischaud's not bad. Fischaud. So, I mean, really, the next 5 picks are looking okay. And they're all defensemen. I think I'd prefer to go for Benin and Yekimovs. Just because we know what Nylander is. And that's obviously a very similar potential. He is listed as NHL ready. He's got that Vlasic comparison. I mean, the Wild don't want to move the pick, so I can't do anything. They take Nylander, who's a 77. The Dallas Stars are willing to move the pick. The question is for what? Because, again, we have this stockpile of draft picks that we can use. Say we use the 27th from Florida. It might be difficult to make up. But say we use that in our lowest 3rd round pick. Not quite. But again, now we have a lot of mid-round picks to work with as well. We'll tack on a 4th. Still not there. It might take another 4th or 2. But we'll see what we can get. So yeah, definitely this episode's just going to be the draft. Next episode, we'll go through the rest of the offseason because I'm sure the response to this, it might be divided, it might not. But when the response was blow it up, here you go. We've blown it up. So for those of you who were looking for that to be the case today, you got your wish because that is exactly what has happened today. As, you know what, let's switch to the 25th. How close are we now? I obviously don't want to give up that 13th. What about the 24th? Alright, damn, I was hoping that would inch us a little bit closer. What about a 4th rounder from Calgary? Still quite far off, huh? Alright, we'll take out the 4th rounder. Let's go with another 3rd rounder. Oh, Dallas, you are playing hardball, aren't you? That's great. A 1st, 2 thirds, and a 4th. There we go. We move up 14 spots. We have the 10th overall pick in this draft. It will be one of the next 4. Strimbu, I'm a bit worried about. You have Nikita Yekimovs, who is solid with the 3 A's, NHL ready. You have Mitch Chelios, who's NHL ready. And Benin, who's also NHL ready. So, I mean, you want to talk about replacing Merkley, Sandin, and Bouchard? We could do it right here in one foul swoop. Now, we are going to take Matthew Benin because, obviously, there might be a slightly higher chance of him actually being medium elite, which, if he is, that is music to my ears, as I wanted to see if there was anybody else who was more of a guarantee. There is a guarantee later on, close to it at least, a project defenseman in Hutchings. I just wanted to see, though, if there's like a can't-miss player coming up towards the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. There's a low elite grinder who might end up being pretty useful. Addison Buffet. Strombopoulos. Okay. Options to work with. Nobody that's can't miss. Oh my god, we didn't get that guy. What a disaster, at least from the looks of it. So the top of this draft is where we're looking. We are going to go for Matthew Benin from the Gatineau Olympiques. The 18-year-old, 45 points. He is the guy. Matthew, how good are you? The answer is pretty solid. 76 overall at a medium top 4. I'll take that. We basically get a younger version of what we already had. Time will tell how well he fits in. He's already pretty well rounded. He has good skating. I don't hate that. I don't hate it. Next up, though, is what I'm intrigued by, because I'm interested in Chelios and Jekimovs. Strimbu as well, but like I said, I'm a bit scared of what that potential might be. I think we're going to play this kind of Madden-esque, where we'll trade up once one of them is left on the board, and we'll get whoever's left. So, Tampa takes Chelios, also a 76 medium 4. Boston takes Jekimovs, also a 76 medium 4, and then you have our 13th pick, so we didn't even have to trade up. That leaves us with Strimbu, which, yes, is scary as hell. I wish I knew for sure just how good Jyrki Laaksonen was. Horkoff, we don't have an ETA. 3 years out, 3 years out, so a lot of these guys are going to take a little bit longer to make it. Scott Hutchings could be pretty interesting. None of these other guys are close to NHL ready. Okay, we're going with the top option. Strimbu, 2 years out. He's going to be solid. It's just what's the potential. Len Strimbu from the Everett Silvertips is the selection. And he is a medium 4, 69 overall. Very nice. Very nice. But obviously the weakest of that bunch. So overall, I don't hate it. We add 2 defensemen who are, I would say, likely to make it. We still have the 25th, 26th, and 27th pick of this first round. So I will probably just trade, or sim, and not trade up at that point. So Jacobson, Melnick, Hutchings, all of these guys are solid, mid-60s, relatively high potential players. Doesn't look like we missed out on any medium elites. So kind of your typical strong first round, but no outright steals at this point. We could get Ty Foligno. He has the Weber comparison. I'm very intrigued by this grinder in Valcourt as well. Esteban Lin. No real way to know for sure. And Jamnov's 3 years out. Witt's 3 years out. You can pretty much tell by the ETA what the overalls are going to be. I like that Brad Marchand comparison, of course. So there isn't anybody here who looks like a surefire can't-miss guy. 3 years seems to be the highest ETA that we're seeing right now out of confirms. Of course, there are some non-confirmed players, and that brought us down to the start of the third round. So, we have 3 straight picks. I'm not against choosing Foligno. He's going to take a little bit of time, but it adds us another defenseman. I mean, that would have the replacements for Merkley, Bouchard, and Sandin right there. So Ty Foligno is going to be the selection. He is a 65 medium top 4. This next pick, I am looking at the grinder. Francois Valcourt, 6'3", point getter. I think he could be pretty damn good. Francois is the pick, just don't be medium 9 and I'm fine. Low elite 65 power forward. So we draft our first forward of this entry draft, and from there, honestly, I'm a little bit afraid to take a risk. I mean, Hervinen would be the guy to take the risk with. No weaknesses is very interesting. That is very interesting. Confirmed no weaknesses. I want to see what I could get with this pick. If the return isn't good, we're taking Hervinen at the top of the board. So I am okay with handling it that way, because then we have the 39th pick in the second round. So a second and a third, fuck off. Boynton, second and a third. The rights to Kopitar, Derek Brassard. All right, yeah, we might as well just make the pick, because all those trades are a joke. So let's see what we can get here. As long as he's a medium 6, I'm cool with it. But no confirmed weaknesses for Jukka Hervinen. He will be the selection. How good is the Finn? The Finn is good. Medium 6 and a 65. So we added 3 solid defensemen and 2 solid forwards on top of the prospect pool that we accumulated over the course of the past 40 minutes or so with those trades. So right now, we still have picks to go. But of course, defense or goaltending-wise, we have Gustafsson and Alexiev. Defensively, it's Carlson, Benin, Strimbu, and Foligno leading the way. And then forward-wise, obviously, we have Hertl and Couture at the top still. But then you have Perfetti, Ellison, Sillinger, Heinonen, Foudy, Fratton, Hervinen, and Valcourt, not to mention Timo Meier, still needs to be signed. So there is plenty to work with moving forward. Obviously, we are banking pretty heavily. Samsonov's looking pretty good. Sjugren's actually not that bad either. But then you see some of these other picks that's like, that's not looking too good. Obviously, we're taking a step back this year, depending on how free agency goes, because we have all the money in the world to spend. Keep that in mind. All we have to do is re-sign Timo Meier. So this could be a very interesting offseason indeed, as there is a confirmed medium top 6 forward. Scott Foster's an interesting one because of the stats. This guy's definitely a grinder. A power forward. David Backes comparison. Phil Emery, injury prone, is up there. Gil Mellock is okay. And then John DePenta. Again, not bad. He's a guarantee where Emery and Kagorodov aren't. Same thing with Foster. I do like the grades for Foster. It's just, if I could confirm he was a medium 6, that would be nice. No guarantees, though, that I even would have looked at him had we actually gone through the interview process. T.S. Janssen, not looking that good. Ferraro. Is there one dude here with just a dynamite? There's a Jude, but there might not be a dude. Is there one dude here that just has like those dynamite grades that is that late round steal? It's not looking that bad for Westgarth, but that potential's awfully close to being confirmed, and if it is, he is not worth the pickup. I could take the sure thing. There's also Sims, who has good maturity, but nothing else. I think we'll go back to the top of the board. Shout out to Caleb Gillies, he's the worst in the draft. We're going to go for DePenta. We're going to go for the sure thing. He's also 17 years old, so he'll have that dev time. But we're taking John DePenta. That was the name of a Ducks defenseman, who I think played for the Portland Pirates. DePenta is a 63, medium top 6. So 3 strong defensive prospects, 3 strong forward prospects on top of the players that we picked up. We missed out on DeLuca, but he's a 50, so Is there anybody else here? Of course, this was towards the 3rd round where we really hadn't begun to look at the players available. Sims was actually a medium elite, but he's a 54, I think, at 19 years old, so I don't exactly regret that. Westgarth was just okay. Foster, Kagorodov were a little bit better than DePenta, but again, we took the sure thing. Emery as well. I had a feeling Foster was okay, but I didn't want to risk it. Buzek's not bad, in terms of overall at least, but if I don't see someone here who's a sure thing, I'm probably backing out of this pick. Because right now it's not looking too good. It's looking like this draft was very, very top heavy. Although Jamie Zinger The 19-year-old might at least have a good potential. Might not have that much else going for you. Tiny Dexter. Hold me closer, Tiny Dexter. I am tired. The backups. Oh, God. Yeah, this is rough. And again, we own half of the upcoming rounds. Frederick Franzen. Arthur Castles. Okay, there is Zimmerman, who's got a long way to go, but at least has that guaranteed potential. A lot of these other guys, it's not looking good. So, let's take a look at a few more players here. Mahler could be decent, or he could very well be a medium 9. Especially at 20 years old. Not really digging that. So let's take a look here. For the confirmed potentials, Zinger is at the top of the list. A couple other guys where we just don't know what we're dealing with. What the hell was that guy's name? Tony Pecker. One letter away. Evan Rudder could also be decent. Any good overalls on these guys? We have just over a minute before we have to pick. Yeah, no good overalls there. Well, there are some players that we can just throw a pick to and hope for the best and then trade down if need be. This is the 88th overall. I believe we have a pick coming up. Oh, we have back-to-back picks. You know what? Screw it. Let's just take who we want. I mean, they're low-end third-round picks. There's not a ton of value there. So we will take Jamie Zinger, the 19-year-old. Just hope for the best that that's actually a medium elite. And it is. 54 overall at 19 years old. So very good there. And next up, it is going to be a bit off the board, but we're going to take the grinder, Adam Zimmerman, who cannot skate to save his life, but he does have that guaranteed potential. So, yeah, the stockpile approach, working out for us pretty damn well, I got to be honest. Our final pick is not projected until the 200s, so let's trade down and see what we're dealing with. We have nearly 40, actually we do have about 40, yeah we do, $40 million to spend, which is just ridiculous. And again, we own half of the 4th round, which is insanity. Actually here, if I go to the trade finder, I wonder if the game will find a trade for me if I'm just like, hey, 1,000 picks, what do you think? What do you think? That's, nope, that's not, I didn't want to do that. Damn it. Okay, here we go. Is this going to be more time consuming than it's worth? Because this is a tad bit slower. Will this work? I don't even know what just happened. Alright, screw it. Nope, back to old reliable. That is, if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. So, let me get rid of these picks. And we'll take it from there. Like I said, we'll get a look at what the re-sign phase is going to bring. And again, that'll do it for this one, as we get a 2nd round pick from Anaheim next year. That'll do it for this one. We'll get through the draft, and the new era will begin next year. So obviously, we are going to have quite a stockpile of picks heading into next year's draft as well, which we can use to our advantage. You also factor in Erik Karlsson, Logan Couture still being on this team. And there are moves that could still be made. And depending on what free agency looks like, we might not be done. Hell, we might see ourselves right back into a semi-competitive state, despite the outrageous amount of moves that we've made today. So this Buffalo pick just swapped me for a 6th rounder next year. They might not want to do that. Yeah, I had a feeling it'd be 7th for a 7th, but that's fine. So, Buffalo, thank you very much, hopefully. Wow, you absolute nerds. Okay, screw it. So next year, we have 3 times 2, 3 plus 3. We have 6 first-round picks next year. Is that outrageous? Yes, but think about how much we gave up. We gave up a division-winning team to stockpile all of that. I didn't do anything underhanded. I used the trade finder. The AI teams did that to themselves. So we have a lot of options. Whether or not we make those picks, trade away those picks, whatever. this team has a whole lot of potential as we get another low elite player. We just had one hell of a draft. We are set up to have an amazing draft next year. We have $40 million in cap space, and the new recruits that we brought in alongside those draft picks with the trades that we made. It's gonna be frustrating to be where we are heading into next year, but at the very least, it shouldn't be that bad of a time for that long. Timo Meier actually does want to re-sign. You know, we'll try the old 85% trick here. If I can lock up Timo Meier long term, I'm going to do it, even though I don't know for sure if we're going to keep him. So again, it's not often I try to do the 85% trick this year, because when players don't want to re-sign, you can't do it. But if Meier's willing to accept that, we're looking good. And of course, Dylan Gambrell, we are also going to look to bring back. Let's do that for a 2-year deal, and we'll see what we can get for him. So we'll drop that down to 3.6 Mafia for the next 2 years, and then everybody else will figure it out once we get there. So let's see if we can get those two guys on cheap deals, hopefully. As Dylan Gambrell, we don't know yet. Meier is back, Gambrell is back, and that's the difference. When players want to re-sign, yeah, the 85% trick still works. It's just so many times in NHL 20, your entire team will be like, nope, don't want to come back. We just won the President's Trophy and lost in the Cup final. Nope, don't want to come back. So, but as far as the moves we're making, I mean, we know this. Hampus Gustafsson, not Hampus Gustafsson, that was a goalie. That's either a real player or a goalie we had before. But Henrik Gustafsson, a former first-round pick of ours. We are signing him. He is our starter. It is his job to lose. I probably won't sign Tavares, at least until I get a look at what free agency is going to be. Defensively, all of these guys are gone, obviously. They were just filler. Cuckoo, Kukin, Olofsson, Gunnarsson, Manning. All of you guys are gone. Winger-wise, Lucas Radil is going to be dropped again. And the left-hand side, Marcus Sorensen, I'm probably going to drop for now. Could bring him back. I think, did Alex True want to resign? He does. I think I'm going to bring him back for the next season. Again, Sorensen, I'm tempted to bring back just because I know he's a good depth forward. You know, I like Marcus Sorensen. He did well for us in the early stages. I want to keep him. And then center-wise, Cotton. Honestly, David Cotton can stay. I mean, we used him in the Carolina series last year. He wasn't bad. Maxim Latunov. Honestly, we could keep as a kind of a depth forward as well. He was okay in the AHL. He didn't get much NHL time for us. I'll probably drop him. I think we're going to drop him. Ellison, obviously, is going to sign his ELC. Zach Gallant can come back too. I might keep Latunov, maybe. You know, yeah, fuck it. Let's keep Max Latunov for the next year. Why not? Zach Gallant, we are going to bring back on a 1-year deal. Yegor Sarangovich is going to be dropped, and we're good. So right now, it's just a matter of the money. How much are we going to have heading into free agency? Everybody that we sent an offer to has signed, so we are good to go. We have $38.5 million to spend heading into free agency. How we spend that, I don't know. That obviously depends on who is available. But yeah, confirming that Lucas Radil will be dropped for now. We're good to go. I want to take a quick look. You know, even if some of the staff members that I don't want to lose are lost, I don't care. I'll just sign whoever. And again, the whole max offer thing still works, so it doesn't really bug me. Yeah, we lost some scouts. I don't think we lost any staff members. So let's take a look. Free agency, what's out there? We will be going through this in the next episode, but I at least want to show you guys who is out there. Goaltending-wise, we'll start there, where, I mean, yeah, I could bring in a Lundqvist, a Marc-Andre Fleury, just to back up our rookie goaltender, just in case. It's probably what we'll do, or we can just give Eliasson the opportunity. Pretty straightforward. in our options there, and I'd go for Swayman and Scott, but they're UFAs, so, or RFAs. Defensively, Shane Gostisbehere, Darnell Nurse, Chris Letang, Jake Gardner, Eric Cernak. There are some names we could bring in to help out this team. I mean, we're going to be able to build a decent defense, an NHL caliber defense, heading into this next season. There really aren't any prospects to sign, except for Ariel Houston, who was a draft pick of ours that I'm pretty sure we traded away. I'm pretty sure I traded you. If I accidentally left him as unsigned, that would be a disaster. I don't know if I did. I might have. I might have, honestly. Yeah, I might have just overlooked that. We're an hour into this. I might have just overlooked the, I might have just overlooked him because he was in that mix of all those other UFAs. If not, and I did trade you, where did you play last year? Because obviously you wouldn't have been signed. Yeah, you were still in Switzerland. There's no real way to know if I fucked up or if I traded you away. Regardless, hopefully we get him. And then forward-wise, no real top-notch prospects, but in terms of players, David Pasternak is at the top of that list. Rupe Hintz also available, or Rupe Hintz, however the hell you want to pronounce it. There are options, and we have a whole lot of money to spend. But one way or another, it's confirmed, it's a new era here in San Jose.